NASCAR made its annual trip to Music City, the second time they have done that. And what went on in Music City? The Toyotas, what a disastrous day they had. What a steal of a win for the 9 team. Rain delays, and we'll talk about NBC's first race back. Hello everyone and welcome back to another video, second time I've seen you today, and hopefully you're enjoying it. We got something to talk about today, and that is the NASCAR race at Nashville. We'll break down all the storylines, everything that happened, and more. We'll talk about your winner and the end of the race, and the controversial decision for NASCAR not to throw a caution flag at the end of that race. Plus we'll talk about rain delays, NBC, and more. Welcome into another video. Alright, let's start by talking about the product that we had on track. Once again, NASCAR made a trip to Nashville, a market that is blooming in America pop culture. It's a market that you want to be in if you're NASCAR. You want to be in this market because it's huge. It's a huge market for so many different people. A lot of people tune into this racing events. You know, it's becoming a spot in motorsports where everyone wants to be. You know, IndyCar wants to be in this market. You know, so many different people want to be in this new market that it's great to watch, and I'm glad NASCAR's in it. Maybe not at the fairgrounds, but at least in some form we're in Nashville, and that's important for NASCAR to be in that market because of how big it is for the people. Anyway, we look at how everything's gone this race. It was, besides the rain delays, the next gen car made this race a lot more exciting. It had more action. We were able to see stuff that went on, and with the night that came, the track got cool. So I don't know if you got like 2 different races really. Besides the 5 o'clock start time, which is questionable. Why start at 5? We could have started at 8. We could have started at 1. We could have started at a normal night race time. Instead, we're starting at whatever time we started at. That was kind of a loss. We shouldn't have started at that time one bit. But with that all said, and with that little bit of a rant there, obviously this race is getting mainly positive feedback by me. There was action. The restarts were great, and that's something we've seen on these mile-and-a-half races thus far, is the restarts have been very well done. Every restart has been edge of your seat, excitement, you know, something to watch. But on the contrary, there was some times where the field was too spread out. You couldn't really get into action. And there was those times in every race where that's going to happen, but especially in this race, there was times where the field was spread out, not much passing was going on, and stuff like that. So that's obviously not what we want to see, but it is what we got. I want to talk a little bit about that end of the race situation with Brad Keselowski, because Brad Keselowski spun out. He clearly crashed and was slow on the track. Could not make it to pit road. He was slow on the racetrack. NASCAR, with still 3 laps to go in the race, elects to not throw a caution. I personally want to ask NASCAR why. Why didn't we throw a caution there? Consistently, you have thrown a caution in that situation. And I'm sure the answer from NASCAR would be, well, it's midnight in the Eastern time zone where I was. It's midnight. Here in Nashville, it's 11. Everyone's kind of tired. Let's just pack it up and go home. Sure. But for a sport that preaches safety, we have a driver who's slow on the track. God knows, he might be injured. We don't know. Obviously, he wasn't. And obviously, we didn't think he was. But what if he was? What if Brad Keselowski sustained an injury or something happened to him in the car, and we had to wait 3 laps to get to him because we elected, as NASCAR, to not throw a caution. That's catastrophic, NASCAR. You cannot do that. You know, if we have a car slow on the racetrack, obviously limping on the side of the racetrack, he could get T-boned. He could get hit again by one of these cars going 100 miles per hour by him. We need to throw a caution. And maybe, you know, this is just my NASCAR theoreticals getting into me. Maybe they didn't throw the caution because Chase Elliott was in the lead. You know, NASCAR's most popular driver, right? Obviously, I don't think that's what happened, and I hope that's not what happened. I think it was mainly a time thing. It was midnight. If it was 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 laps to go, I think they throw that caution for dramatic effect. I'm actually surprised they didn't. Normally, NASCAR is prone to throw that caution because they want to see that late race restart. They want to see that 2 laps to go restart. They want to see the field back together. They normally always, and it gets them in trouble when they normally throw that caution flag because they throw it so often. I was a little surprised that they didn't. Obviously not the worst call I've seen out of NASCAR in recent memory of this season, but it's one of those that goes up there. It wasn't a great call. It was obviously kind of a little bit of a poor call. I was hoping to see a better out of NASCAR. So, all right. Anyway, our winner of the race today, as we look at our finishing results, is Chase Elliott. 2 races he has won the season on these concrete tracks. Great to see him go to victory lane, obviously, for his team. Something happened with that car as soon as it hit the nighttime. It was great. The car really handled well. It performed well in the night track, so very well done for him. Somebody that ran extremely well today that you don't even see many of them in this top 15. The best finisher was 6th and then 8th. Joe Gibbs Racing and Toyota were amazing today in both day and night when this race went to the rain delays. They were great. They performed extremely well. And what happened is they ended up falling to a caution where for some reason Kyle Busch pit and a lot of other guys like Truex pit. If I'm Kyle Busch here on the front row, I'm sorry, why do we pit there, Kyle? Why are we pitting? I know why he tended to pit. He wanted to pit to get into the lead and have that big gap. We can't pit in that situation. I was disappointed that we pitted. I don't know why Kyle Busch pit. I don't know why the 19 car pitted. It was a mistake. Obviously, they thought they could do what Chase Elliott did a couple of restarts ago, where you just get in the top of these fresh tires and ride the top. With 4 laps to go, I'm taking the front row track position. Obviously, better hindsight 2020. It's easier to say that, but I think they really made a mistake there. And that final caution killed them. To not come home with a win, number 1, was a disaster for them. You should at least not even come home for JGR with the top 5. The best finish in Toyota was Kurt Busch in 2nd. It's obviously a decent day. And then Hamlin in 6th is okay. But Bell's in 8th. Bubba Wallace in 12th, who had a good car. I don't know how he finished 12th, by the way. And then all the way back in 21st is Kyle Busch, 22nd. You know, as Martin Truex Jr. That's not a good day. That's a horrid day. Kurt Busch finished 2nd. Ryan Blaney in 3rd. Kyle Larson in 4th. Came back to get a top 5. Good for him. Chastain with a top 5 as well. Always in the mix, that one car. Like him or not. We talked about Hamlin. 7th is Austin Cindric. 8th is Christopher Bell. Talked about JGR's rough day. Bell was probably one of the worst of the JGR cars. Still in the top 10. Finished the best today. Logano sneaks for a top 10. Kevin Harvick was up in the mix after the rain delay. Car fell off. Finished 10th. Eric Jones was a top 15. Good for him. Bubba Wallace, as we talked about, 12th. Kind of unfortunate for Michael McDowell, finishing 13th. He had a top 8 car most of the day, ends up falling into 13th. Austin Dillon with a top 15, and Daniel Suarez finished in 15th. We talked about Kyle Busch and Martin Truex Jr., who were outside that top 20. Some other notables, Chris Buescher 30th. Alex Bowman and Byron had some problems for their teams. They finished last and second to last. Let's talk about NBC. NASCAR and NBC made its trip back to your screens, your home for NASCAR. Awesome to see. I loved seeing NASCAR and NBC back. As always, it was great. It was great. You know, I love NASCAR and NBC's coverage. I am a little bit of I don't like Fox. I don't like how Fox takes their coverage. I don't like how they do it. It was obviously a tough one for NBC. There was a few vital mistakes, and obviously viewership is going to be down because they went head-to-head with the Stanley Cup Final after the rain delays. They had to switch over to USA Network instead of on that mainstream NBC because America's Got Talent need to be on television. Obviously disappointing for NASCAR and for all NASCAR fans when you look at these rain delays obviously proven havoc on the sport. I'm happy for NBC though because they gave us almost full coverage throughout almost the whole entire rain delays. Besides at the end there, they went off air for about 40 minutes, completely off air, which was a big mistake by them. Obviously, they still gave us incredible rain delay coverage. They went off air though, and honestly, I thought they were coming back on the air at 10:30. I checked in at USA at 10, and they were already back on the air. So they said they were coming back on around 10:30. They didn't come back on until they came back on earlier. So if you're a person that doesn't have Twitter, if you're even that younger audience that doesn't have Twitter, that doesn't follow social media platforms about NASCAR and NBC, you're just a kid that wants to watch a sporting event, what NASCAR is trying to do, you just lost your audience. You just lost your audience by doing that. So obviously it's kind of terrible for them to have to do that. But besides that, the coverage was great. The analysis is always on point for NBC. They always are doing a great job. Everything was on point. Everything was well done. I thought at least we got interviews. We got intelligent pieces. We had interesting pieces that tell the history of the track, tell the history of Nashville. We had Rutledge Wood, who was in Nashville. All of this was great. All of that was amazing to see, and NBC did a good job. Now for Hit the Gas or Hit the Brakes, this race today is going to get a hit the gas in my books. It was a solid race. I thought the television coverage was very well done, besides that little hiccup with USA Network. I'm going to give this race a B+. I talked about it at the top of the show. The racing was good. Maybe Next Gen car was the reason, but the racing was good. So that's my opinion on this. Let me know down below in the comments what you thought. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. I'm Cameron Simpson. I'll see you on the next one.